Hello. So I am Samrita Shaha from Bridge Intellia and I am going to present to you this presentation on biology, that is cell. What is cell? Cell is the fundamental unit of life. The basic unit upon which we are made up of is cell. Not only we, plants, animals like dogs, cats, okay, everything, every living thing is made up of cell. Just like in this image, you can see that the muscle cell, the blood cell, the bone cell, the fat cell, everything is made up of a simple unit called cell. So now, what is cell? The cell is the basic structural, functional, and biological unit of all known organisms. Living organisms. Obviously, organisms are living. Structural in the way they are made up of, in the structure, functional, how they function, all the process and the activities they do, and the biological unit of an organism. It is the smallest unit, just like in a house, all the bricks are the building blocks. So just like in a life or living organism, cell are like those bricks. Okay. So the structure of a cell is more like this. You can see in this image. The structure of a cell is more like this. The shape and the sizes differ from organisms to organisms, but most of the things are in common. Okay, so we will be studying about all these. So who discovered cell? Who discovered cell? The first thing that comes into our mind, that who discovered this thing called cell? That was in the year 1665. A British scientist, here you can see the picture of him, Robert Hooke. He was the first one to study this living cell, which under a microscope, that you know, the cork, the bark of a tree, which when get dried up, we use as cork of a bottle. So he studied that and he came to see that there are many honeycomb-like structures like there are honeycomb. You know honeycomb, where the honey is being extracted. So the structures were much more alike to honeycomb when seen under the microscope, and he named each of those structures as cells. Okay. So now we will be reading about cell theory. What is cell theory? And there are three postulations on cell theory. That is, the all living organisms are composed of one or more cells. Second, the cell is the basic unit of structure and organization in organisms. So I told you this is a basic unit which upon created a whole living organisms. And every living organism is made up of cells. These are the two postulations. The third one is cells arise from pre-existing cells. The meaning of this is the new cells arise from pre-existing cells, means old cells. Just like when you are a small baby, you grow up to be so large human being. So the cells you had at that time grew up, divided, and became more in number, and you made up to a big human being. Okay, so these are the three postulations of the cell theory. Now we can classify the organisms, all the organisms around us, into two categories. One is here you can see unicellular organisms, and the second column is multicellular organisms. As the name suggests, unicellular organisms, uni means one and cellular means cell. So it consists, the organisms that have only one cell or a single cells are called unicellular organisms. And multicellular means organism consisting of many cells. For example, unicellular organisms like amoeba. You know amoeba, bacteria, many paramecium. So all these are made up of only one cell. This is very astonishing, no? But we can't see them. They are all microscopic creatures. We can't see them. We need a microscope because they're so small. You know, in this your one finger, there are millions and billions of cells. Okay, so you can see a cell in your open eyes or in anything. You just need a microscope for that, and a good microscope. In an electron microscope, you need for that. And in multicellular organisms, you can classify plants and animals. And in animals, we also come. So unicellular versus multicellular. See, unicellular organisms are composed of a single cell, whereas the multicellular organisms are composed of one or more than one cell. Okay, as it consists of only one cell, unicellular organism consists of only one cell, so the body organization is much simple. But in this multicellular organisms, body organization will be complex and difficult because it will contain many cells and there are many things to know. So body organization won't be that simple. Similarly, a single cell carries out all the necessary life process because it have only one cell to carry out all the processes. But there are multiple cells, so there will be division of labor, like our bone cells, like our muscle cells, like our blood cells. So there will be different function. Different cells, group of cells will perform different functions. The total cell body is exposed to the environment. Total cell body will be exposing to the environment, but here only the outer cells are exposed to the environment. Just like us, see the skin cells are exposed to the environment. Our blood cell and bone cell aren't exposed to the environment. Okay, so I only told about this. Division of labor is at the organelle level because you will be knowing this later on a greater detail, because in the cell there are certain structures. In only one cell there are certain structures and each of them perform different function. But here this is not the case in multicellular organisms because each cell consists of a group of comprise and collect a group of cells, and all those group of cells like tissues, organ system level, they perform different function. Just like bone cells comprise together and form the bone tissue, then organs, just like our leg, our hand, there are some many organs like liver, okay, the heart. So all of them perform different functions. So there is division of labor at organ and tissue level. Acha. So lifespan of a unicellular organism is usually very short because their work to do also is very simple and small. So the lifespan will be very short. But multicellular organisms have a comparatively longer lifespan. Injury to the cell leads to the death of organism because it consists of only one cell. If that get damaged, then it will obviously cause the death of the organism. But in multicellular organism, injury to a cell does not cause death. Like if I get hurt in my hand, will I die? No. Because there are other cells to perform different functions. This is not only the cell that is left. Okay. And they are microscopic in nature. As I said, we can't see a single cell. But these are mostly macroscopic in nature because they are very big and they consist of a lot of number of cells. See, you can see me. You can see me. You can see any other human being, any other animal, a dog or a cat, any other multicellular organism, because they consist of so number of cells, but they only consist of a single cell. So they are microscopic. We can't see through eyes. For example, we read previously bacteria, amoeba, paramecium, yeast, the bread that you have, which is created by fermentation of yeast. And in macroscopic, humans, animals, plants, birds, insects, reptiles, everything. Most of the things are microscopic and multicellular that you see through eyes. So what is the structural organization of a cell? So you have learned what is cell, unicellular and multicellular organisms, who discovered cell, and you have also learned the cell theory. But you need to know that what a cell consists of. What is it made up of? See, it is made up of a cell membrane, a cell wall, a nucleus, a cytoplasm, and cell organelles. Most of the cell consist of all these. Cell membrane, try to locate in this diagram. This diagram is of a cell, part section of a cell which shows the outside as well as the inside. The cell wall is the outer membrane, this green thing, you can see this. The cell wall is this one. The cell membrane, here you see this one, the inner membrane of the cell, this yellow, deepish yellow. Okay, and the nucleus, here this orange thing, this nucleoplasm, nucleolus, nuclear envelope, and nuclear pole all consist of the nucleus. Together, all of them is called a nucleus. The cytoplasm, this yellow fluid thing upon which all these things that are inside the cell are lying upon, is called the cytoplasm. Here you can see this cytoplasm. Okay, and the cell organelles. Cell organelles are all those that comprises existing of the nucleus. This vacuole, this mitochondrion, this lysosome, this ribosome, this endoplasmic reticulum, everything, this Golgi apparatus, all are consisting of cell organelles. Together, all of them can be called cell organelle. So we will be studying each detail, that what is a cell membrane, what is a cell wall, what is a nucleus. So let's go to cell membrane. Cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outermost covering of the cell that separates the content from the external environment. We have seen that was a cell wall, the existing covering, but it was of a plant cell. We will be distinguish this plant cell and the animal cell later on, because we need to know the organelles and the structure of a cell before that. So cell membrane, for most of the animal cell, the outermost covering is the cell membrane. Okay, so it differentiates the inner thing of the cell with the outer covering or the external environment. Okay, this cell membrane can also be called as plasma membrane. Here you can see the term plasma membrane have been used. This is the similar term for a cell membrane. It allows or permits the entry and exit of some material in and out of the cell. It is just like a gate. Okay, just like a gate, and it is allowing something to go inside and something to go outside. So it can also prevent something, like if you don't have an ID, you cannot enter into a certain institution. No, you cannot enter. So cell membrane chooses what things to enter into the cell or what not to. So the cell membrane is called selectively permeable membrane. The third point, selectively permeable membrane. This is very important and a very important feature of cell membrane, that it selects what to enter and what not to into the cell. That's why it is called selectively permeable membrane. And here is the structure of the cell membrane. You can see here. You don't need to go into so much details, but just an overview. See, this is a carbohydrate. This is the carbohydrate. This green thing is glycolipid. This total thing is called as glycoprotein. Okay, and this is called the cholesterol. Here you can see this. This is the inner thing, the alpha helix. You will learn later on all these membrane structures, and these are channel protein. This channel protein is the one through which the entry and the exit of things happen to and from the cell. Okay, so let's now go to the next thing, that is cell wall. I told you that in plant cells, cell walls can be seen. Okay, in animal cell, the outermost covering is the cell membrane. But in plant cell, cell membrane is there, but the outermost thing is cell wall. There is an additional covering. So there is an additional gate. You know, there is two gates of a house. Similarly, like that, only in plant cell, there are two gatekeeper, just like cell wall and then the cell membrane. So the cell wall in the plant cell is the rigid outer covering that differentiates the outer external environment through the plasma membrane, that is cell membrane. So what this cell wall is created with, it composed of cellulose. Cellulose is a complex substance that is made up of carbon and hydrogen, and it cannot be digested by us. Only cows can digest it. Okay, so so that's why the plants are being eaten by cows, not us. Okay, you may question that we also have something from plants, but see, most of the things which doesn't contain cellulose, we have there those. We can't just take out grass from the ground and have it. Okay, you won't be able to digest it, but cows can do it. So cellulose is a substance which is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and it is a complex substance and it comprises the cell wall. Okay, and cell wall is only lies in the plant cell, the outermost covering, in addition to the cell membrane. And here you can also see the structure of the cell wall. Here, see, it is the cell, it is the middle lamella, it is the secondary wall, and it is the primary wall. Here you can see this is the cell wall. Okay, so now let's go to the next topic, that is how to differentiate between the cell membrane and the cell wall. Cell wall. Cell wall is the outermost part of the plant cell. It is thick and rigid structure with a fixed shape. Cell membrane is the outermost covering the animal cell. It is a thin and delicate structure. It is flexible to change the shape as needed. Like I have only told that cell wall is only placed in plant cell and it's the outermost covering. But in animal cell, only there is cell membrane, there is no cell wall. So it is the outermost covering of animal cell. Though cell membrane is also present in plant cell, but it is not the outermost covering. Okay, second point is here we see that it is thick and rigid structure because it is made up of cellulose. Cell membranes are made up of cellulose. Cell wall is made up of cellulose, but cell membrane can change the shape as and when needed, because then the entry and the exit of the things won't happen. Okay. Next thing, cell wall is made up of pectin, chitin, lignin, glycoprotein, cellulose, glycolipids, sugar. Cellulose is the most important content, but these are also there. Pectin, chitin, lignin, glycoproteins, glycolipids, sugars. Okay, and cell membrane is a lipid bilayer structure. It consists of lipoproteins. We have seen in the structure of the cell membrane, glycolipids and the carbohydrates. Cell wall is fully permeable. It can anything can enter and exit from the cell wall. Anything can pass. Okay, but in cell membrane it can't be. It is selectively permeable. It selects what to pass, what not to pass. Next thing, functions of the cell wall is protection from the external environment. It protects the plants. It protects the cell from the external environment. But cell membrane, protection is also there, but there are many other functions like permeability. It selects what to go through or what not to. Signal reception, motility conduction, sexual reproduction, and cell division. In all of these functions, cell membrane have a hand. We will be studying that on later, but you need to know that cell membrane do help in all these functions. Because when you will be studying these functions in details, you will be understanding what is the role of cell membrane. If I go and explain now, it won't be finished. We need to stick to cell more here. Okay. The next structure that the cell comprises of after than cell wall and cell membrane is nucleus, a very important structure. A very important structure. Nucleus, more or less, most of the cells consist of a nucleus. Nucleus is a membrane-bound organelle that contains genetic material of eukaryotic organisms. It serves to maintain the integrity of the cell by facilitating transcription and replication processes. What is nucleus? Nucleus consists the DNA. The DNA, you know, the deoxyribonucleic acid, which contains the genetic information that have been passed on from parents to the child. Like you look like your parent, your father maybe, your mother maybe. So where this information has been collected at the cell level, it is from the DNA. It is the gene material, basic gene material. It has been passed on from your parents to you. And this DNA, the nucleus protects this DNA. This DNA lies between in the nucleus, and nucleus have a membrane. See the outer membrane, which is called as nuclear membrane. Okay, this nuclear membrane or the nuclear envelope, here you can see this. This is called the nuclear membrane, and it is the largest organelle inside the cell, consisting of a tenth of the entire cell volume. That is 1/10 of the entire cell volume. It is a very big organelle. This makes it is very easily identifiable because as you can see this picture, let me show you. Yes, this picture you can see that this nucleus is a very big structure rather than vacuole. Apart from vacuole, nucleus is a very big structure in the cell. So we can see it in the microscope very distinctly because it is big. So what is the functions? We have seen the structure, we have known what it contains, but we need to know what is its function, why it is there in the cell. So as I said, it controls the genetic information of the cell, and thus hereditary and the characteristic of the organism, how the organism will look like, how the organism will work like, everything it controls, nucleus. It also controls the protein and enzyme synthesis in the cell. There are creation of protein and enzyme in the cell, so it regulates and controls those. It also takes part in cell division. When a cell divides to become more cell, 2 or 3 cells, and grow and be more in number, then this nucleus plays into role. How it we will do later, but you need to know what is function. Storage of DNA, RNA, and ribosomes is the function of nucleus. DNA, you have known that we are made up of DNA. We have deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. Okay, but there are many bacteria that consist of RNA, ribonucleic acid. Okay, so that also gets stored in nucleus only. Ribosomes are too stored in nucleus. Regulation of the transcription of mRNA to protein, production of ribosomes. So this regulation of transcription, when you will reading transcription, you will be understanding that how it is happening and what is mRNA and how it transcripts into the protein. mRNA is messenger RNA, that is messenger ribonucleic acid, and how it gets transferred to the protein. So you will be dealing with that later on, but you need to know what are the functions of nucleus all in total. Okay, so let's go to the next, that is the parts of the nucleus. As the picture we have seen previously, that it have a nuclear envelope and nuclear pores. See here, nuclear envelope, this magenta thing is the nuclear envelope, which consists the nucleus out from the cytoplasm. Okay, and nuclear pores, it have the nuclear pores where it can go through and go out. Nucleoplasm is just like the cytoplasm of the nucleus, upon which everything floats, or the DNA or the chromatin floats. Okay, this thing, see, nucleoplasm, it is not marked here, but this thing is a nucleoplasm. These are chromosomes which have DNA. Okay, and it is called, and when the chromosomes are like tangled, is called chromatin, and nucleolus is this one. Okay, so these are the parts of nucleus. Now, coming to the fourth point of structure of organization of cell is cytoplasm. It refers to the fluid that fills the cell, which includes cytosol along with filaments, proteins, ions, and macromolecular structures, as well as the organelles suspended in the cytosol. So, cytoplasm is the gel or the fluid-like thing upon which every cell organelle or the nucleus, everything floats in the cell. This is the cell membrane. This is just an example of a cell. This is a cell membrane. Inside there is a nucleus, and these are all organelles which are lying upon this light green colored fluid that is called as cytoplasm. That consists of cytosol. This cytosol is made up of filaments, proteins, ions, and many other macromolecular structures. See, this cytoplasm can be divided into 3 components. First, the cytoskeleton with its associated motor proteins. Second, organelles and other large multi-protein complexes. And third, cytoplasmic inclusion and dissolved solutes. So these are first thing you can know the cytoskeleton, the structure, and all of this function. The motor proteins means transferring from here to there. Okay, and second thing is the organelles. All the organelles we will be reading for the organelles, the Golgi apparatus, the endoplasmic reticulum, okay, the mitochondria. All these organelles are also in that cytoplasm. And the cytoplasmic inclusion and dissolved solutes, some of the solutes that are being dissolved in the cytosol are also the part of the cytoplasm. So we can divide all these into three categories. Okay, so what are cell organelles? The last and the important thing, but we have to know a lot of things in cell organelles also. So what are cell organelles? The cellular components are called cell organelles. Any component in the cell is called cell organelles, irrespective of the nucleus. Okay. These cell organelles include both membrane and non-membrane bound organelles present within the cell and are distinct in their structures and functions. So all of these cell organelles may contain a outer membrane, may not contain outer membrane, and they all of them have some distinct function and structure, and they coordinate accordingly with each other to work. As I said, that in a unicellular organism, as if there is only one cell, the division of labor happens within the cell organelles, because each of the cell organelle or organelle that consist of a structure and they contribute to a simple function, and all of them together do all the function of the cell. Okay, just like in an office, there are many employees, each employee doing their own work and they're contributing to the whole company's work and profits. Similarly, just like that in the cell, all of the organelle are coordinating and doing their own function and happening the normal function of the cell. A few of them function by providing shape and support, some of them locomotion, some of them perform reproduction of the cell. So there are many functions in a cell that is happening, and each of them are contributing to one or the other function. So now we will be reading which function and which cell organelle is doing. So cell organelle, see, the first cell organelle is endoplasmic reticulum. Here you can see this endoplasmic reticulum, which is also divided into two types, rough endoplasmic and smooth endoplasmic, but both of them comprise to be the endoplasmic reticulum. The second thing is Golgi apparatus. You can see here the flattened structures are Golgi apparatus. The third thing is lysosomes. This small thing is lysosome. The fourth thing is the mitochondria. See this zigzag thing? Here you can see this is the mitochondria. The plastids. The plastids is also a cell organelle which is not present here just because it is the example of an animal cell. When you will be seeing a plant cell, there will be a plastid. See here you cannot see the plastid just because it is an animal cell. Plastid is only present in plant cell. And vacuoles. See this vacuole, it is also not present here, but it is mostly there in the cell. Okay, it is not present in this example, but in some other example we will get to see it. So now we will be dealing with each of them and what are their functions and all. So endoplasmic reticulum, ER, short form of endoplasmic reticulum is ER, and I will be referring it as ER because it is such a big word. Referring it to it many a times will be very boring. So ER in biology is a continuous membrane system that forms a series of flattened sacs within the cytoplasm of eukaryotic cells and serves multiple functions, particularly in the synthesis, folding, modification, and transport of proteins. So, as you can see the picture, see these are flattened structures. Here you have seen they are continuously flattened structures, series of flattened structures here, see. These all do a function. What is the function? Function is synthesis, means making or the production, folding, modification, and transport of proteins. See, proteins are not only needed to us, but also the cell level also. Okay, so in the cell level, the production of the protein, the transport to the other part of the cell is done by this ER. All eukaryotic cell contains an endoplasmic reticulum. What is eukaryotic cell? There must be a question in your mind. We will be dealing what is eukaryotic cell a little later, because if you don't know what are the cell organelles or what is the function, you will be able to understand. So for that, have a little patience, but now consider that all eukaryotic cells consist of endoplasmic reticulum. In an animal cell, the UR usually consists more than half of the membrane content of the cell. Means it contains the more than half of the place, and the membranous content means all the content that have a membrane. And there are two types of ER that is very important. Here in this picture, you can see in this picture, I hope you can see now. Yes. See, this is the rough endoplasmic reticular, as it has some dot, dot, dot rough thing, and it has a rough space or rough texture. And this is a smooth one, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So rough endoplasmic reticulum, also referred to as RER. If you somewhere see RER, it means rough endoplasmic reticulum. This type of endoplasmic reticulum possesses rough walls. As you can see in this picture, it consists of rough walls. It is of rough texture. Because the ribosomes, all these small dot dot thing are ribosomes, which also helps in the formation of proteins. Okay, so this here in this function you can see. So this ribosome remain attached to the membrane, and ribosome play a vital role in protein synthesis. So these ribosomes are attached to the membrane of RER, and these play a very big role in the process of protein synthesis. Smooth ER, SER, that is this thing. See, follow my cursor. This type of endoplasmic reticulum not attached with its membrane. And these are very smooth. See, you see that they are not attached with the membrane. They are simply a little ahead of that. And they are very smooth in texture. The membrane are very smooth. And they helps in the formation of lipids. So RER helps in the formation of proteins, and SER helps in the formation of lipids. How do RER helps? Because it contains ribosomes, which helps in the protein synthesis. Now the next cell organelle that we are going to read is Golgi apparatus. I hope you can see this Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus, also called as Golgi body, Golgi complex, is a membrane bound organelle. It have a membrane which distinguish it from the cytoplasm. Okay, so it is also present in eukaryotic cells, and it is made up of series of flattened structures. See, these are flattened structure, and there are series of it. You are only seeing a small image, but there are a lot of like this. Okay, so there are flattened stack-like structures, stacks just which contains any rice or something. There are like just, if you just place those stacks in a horizontal way, then you see the stack flattened structures. These are all the structures are called cisternae. See this cisternae. Okay, these are called cisternae, and Golgi apparatus is made up of this cisternae, and it is located inside the cytoplasm just next to ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum, and the cell. And here you can see this is the example of the cell, and here see it is the endoplasmic reticulum, this blue one, and see just next to that is the Golgi apparatus. Here is the nucleus, the endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. I hope you have understand the structure and the location of Golgi apparatus. Now we will study the function of Golgi apparatus. So what do Golgi apparatus do, or Golgi body do? Golgi body is responsible for transporting, modifying, and packaging proteins and lipids into vesicles for delivery to targeted destination. You know Swiggy, Zomato, what they do? They take the food from the restaurants and deliver to the customers and many people that order the food. Similarly, Golgi apparatus or Golgi body is just like Swiggy. Okay, they take all the proteins and the lipids that have been manufactured into this ER And they just transport all these proteins and lipids to the other parts of cell or the other cell organelle which require it. Okay, so you have understand this. So the material synthesized near the ER is packaged and dispatched to various target inside and outside the cell through the Golgi apparatus. Understood? Its functions include storage, modification and packaging of products in vesicles. First, it do storing the products and the proteins and the things, and then it packages and then it transports. In some cases, complex sugars may be made from simple sugars in Golgi apparatus. This is also a very important thing. So simple sugars are transferred into complex sugars in this Golgi apparatus. Next, the Golgi apparatus is also involved in the formation of lysosomes. What are lysosomes? You don't know, but we will study it later, just a little later. But it helps in the formation of these lysosomes. While many types of cells contains one or several Golgi apparatus, plant cell contain hundreds. So Golgi apparatus are present in hundreds in the plant cell, while in other cell like animal cell, they are contained in like one or several, like, but it's not in hundreds. Okay, so these are the functions of Golgi apparatus. Now moving to the next topic, that is lysosomes. What are lysosomes? Structurally, see, lysosomes are membrane-bound sacs filled with digestive enzymes. These enzymes are made by RER. So here you can see that lysosomes are some membrane-bound sacs, just like sac you have with sand and or anything, clay. Okay, those sacs, just you can imagine those sacs more circular in shape. So those sacs that have a membrane outside that is distinguishing the cell organelle, the lysosome, inner part to the outer cell cytoplasm. It consists of digestive enzymes which can digest the things. And these enzymes are also made in RER. We have seen in the function of our endoplasmic reticulum that it contains or create or helps in the synthesis of enzymes. So that is done by RER. So these enzymes are being transferred from this RER to these lysosomes. And these lysosomes are kind of like waste disposal system of the cell. Just like a trash in your home. Similarly, in the cell, there must be some trash or some places where the waste of the cell will get disposed. Otherwise, if the waste keeps on floating in the cell cytoplasm, it will be havoc. We need to get clear of it. So lysosomes do this job. These help to keep the cell clean by digesting any foreign material as well as worn out cell organelle. Any organelle that have been damaged or worn out, or any foreign material, like any material, maximum in the cases of immune system, you see any foreign virus or bacteria or any material which is harmful to the cell and is coming outside from the cell and is creating problem or something, lysosomes have a duty of digesting them and cleaning out from the cell. Okay, so foreign material entering the cell such as bacteria or food as well as old organelle that end up in the lysosome, which break complex substances into simpler substances. They don't just take the trash in the bin. What they do, they are more biological thing, they are living things. They break those big complex substance into simple substance like carbon, hydrogen, and simple molecules. Okay, so now it is a very big and a very important topic and a very interesting one also. What are suicidal bags of a cell? Lysosomes are the suicidal bags of cell. How and why? And what is happening? Why all of a sudden these suicidal bags? See, lysosomes have a power to digest the worn out or any foreign material or anything in the cell because they consist of digestive enzymes. Those are being synthesized from the RER, rough endoplasmic reticulum. But sometimes what happens, sometimes in certain some circumstances, it does the opposite. For example, if I take an example from a real life, suppose you are sharpening a pencil, and after what you do, you throw the pencil into the dustbin, or you throw the pencil shavings into the dustbin. You throw the pencil shavings into the dustbin. But in case you are a little bit confused or into some trouble and your mind is not there so much active, what you sometimes we do, that we hold the pencil and we hold the pencil shavings and we throw the pencil into the dustbin. Okay, so similarly, suicidal bags of a cell are called lysosomes because in certain circumstances, when cell gets damaged, anything happens to the cell, lysosomes get burst up, and when the lysosomes burst up into the cell, the digestive enzyme it consists gets released into the cell cytoplasm, and these digestive enzymes, apart from digesting the foreign material or the worn out cell organelle or the trash of the cell, it digests the important cell organelles of the cell, like nucleus, like the mitochondria, like the endoplasmic reticulum, and this causes the death of the cell. If there is no nucleus, so how will the cell live? It causes the death of the cell, and therefore lysosomes are known as suicidal bags of a cell. See, here it is only written there. So in certain circumstances, when cell gets damaged, lysosome may burst and the enzyme digests their own cell. Therefore, lysosomes are known as the suicidal bags of a cell, or we can say that they possess different kind of hydrolases on release. Hydrolases, if you see the ASES, anything with the word ending with this, ASES, they are enzymes. Okay, this is the nomenclature of enzyme in the naming of the enzymes. So hydrolase is also an enzyme. It consists of that, and on release of those enzymes, they cause the death of the cell. So digesting food is okay, but if this lysosome digests the organelles like mitochondria, the cell will die. Nothing can be done. This is just like suicide. Okay, they are just tending to suicide because they are only causing the death of the own cell. So the next topic is mitochondria, which we are hearing from previous cell organelles. What is mitochondria? A very famous line, and the line that you are going to remember forever, I think. Mitochondria are known as the powerhouses of the cell. Just like in our house, we have electricity that gives power, and we get electricity and we get light, fan and everything. Similarly, all the energy in a cell and all the activities that the every cell organelles are doing, the energy they are getting, everything needs some energy to do some work. As you need some energy, you have food, you have sleep, you get energy and you do work. Similarly, mitochondria have this function of creating energy and giving it to the cell. It is just a small concept, but you will be going into detail. See, mitochondria have two membrane coverings. See, in this outer membrane, this one is the outer membrane, and this is the inner membrane, and the space between this outer membrane and the inner membrane is called intermembrane space. Inter means between two. Okay, and see here in this mitochondria, it have consist of many folds, and this outer membrane is porous while inner membrane it is deeply folded. Outer membrane is not that much folded like the inner membrane. Inner membrane is like you going on, and there's so many folds. Okay, so what these folds do? Everything or every structure is made up for a reason. Why it is just like this shape, why it is not like that shape? You need to know this, because there is always a science behind that. So these folds increase surface area for ATP generating chemical reaction. All these folds that have been here increases the surface area, the area to synthesize or production of ATP. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. This is the cell currency. This is the energy, form of energy. Mitochondria are strange organelles in the sense that they have their own DNA and ribosomes. See, we have learned a lot of cell organelle in the previous, the Golgi apparatus, the endoplasmic reticulum, the lysosomes, but we have seen that none of them have DNA and ribosomes of their own. Only nucleus have the DNA and ribosomes, which is of the cell, but none of these cell organelles consist his own DNA or ribosome. But this mitochondria is a very special one here, the special one in the party like. So it have a special one, it have own DNA and ribosomes. Therefore, mitochondria are able to do some of their own protein synthesis. So as it have ribosomes, I told you earlier that ribosomes plays a huge role in the protein synthesis. So this ribosomes in this mitochondria helps to make their own proteins. Now we have learned the structure of mitochondria and a simple function that they can create or they help in the generation of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now we to know a lot of more functions. See, the energy required for various chemical activities needed for life is released by mitochondria in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate molecules. So the energy required in the cell to perform various function or various chemical activity is this released by this mitochondria. It's the duty of the mitochondria to give energy in the form of ATP. The ATP is known as energy currency of the cell. I told you earlier, the body uses the energy stored in the ATP for making new chemical reactions or compounds and for the mechanical work too. Okay, all these works are dependent upon the ATP. And that is also synthesized by mitochondria. It promotes the growth of new cell and cell multiplication. Mitochondria helps in the growth of new cells just like the nucleus, and it helps in the cell multiplication. It helps in detoxifying ammonia in the liver cell. We have a liver in a human being and many other animals also have a liver. So in those liver cells, the ammonia that have been dangerous or not unwanted things in the body, it's been detoxified by the help of this mitochondria. It plays an important role in apoptosis or programmed cell death. This apoptosis is a word for that suicidal bags of the cell, that is the programmed cell death. Okay, so it also helps in or plays an important role. Responsible for building certain parts of the blood and various hormones like testosterone and estrogen. So it also helps in building some part of blood. Blood have many parts. You will be understanding that later on, but it have many parts. That is hemoglobin. Okay, and there are many parts. So it helps in certain parts. And there are also hormone secretion, which is also done by hormone synthesis. That is testosterone. There are the reproduction hormone in the testosterone in the hormone in the male one, and the estrogen, the hormone in the female one. Helps in maintaining an adequate concentration of calcium ions within the compartments of cells. This is also very important. Okay, memorize this and remember this. So maintaining an adequate concentration of calcium ion in the cell is a very important thing to know, because there are problems if the concentration of calcium grows to a limit that is unwanted. Okay, and so maintaining the concentration is very important. So mitochondria plays that role. So we have known the functions of mitochondria, and now we need to know what are vacuoles. See, this is an example of a cell, and the biggest part that is being held up in the cell is the vacuole. Vacuoles are like closed sacs. They are also made up of membrane with inorganic or organic molecules such as enzymes. They have no set shape or size, and the cell can change them as needed. So you see, vacuoles do not have any fixed shape. It can be round, it can be not round, it can have a different shape like a square or anything. Any shape it can hold. And they are mostly present in the eukaryotic cells. And they do a lot of things. They like store waste. They are distinct from the cytoplasm and classified as ergastocic, according to some people. The solution that fills this vacuole is called the cell sap. See, this solution is filled by the black hole is called the cell sap. It also stores certain foods. It stores waste. So it do a lot of activities. The next thing that is plastids. These plastids, a very important feature to note about this, these are only present in plant cell. Plant cell have this plastid. There are two types of it. Chromoplast, leucoplast. Chromoplast, the chromo word means colored and plast means plastid. And leuco word means white or colorless and plast means plastids. The main function is storing food inside the cell. That can be help to do a lot of work in the stress times, in the problem times, when there is no food generation or there is certain problem or condition of stress. Then plastid helps a lot by generating the food and giving the food, because food is also a form of ATP, energy. Like the mitochondria, plastids also have their own DNA and ribosome. See, this is the third cell organelle we are reading that it have its own DNA and ribosomes. So from the first, if we count it, the nucleus, then the mitochondria, and the third is the plastid. Three of them have their own DNA and ribosome. So it is also a special one. Okay. So here you can see the structure of the plastid. This is an example of a chloroplast. You will be understanding. I will be going into it. It have an outer membrane. It have an inner membrane. See, this is the inner membrane. And the stroma, that is the gel-like thing, the cytoplasm of the plastid, that is called stroma. And these green track-like structures are called thylakoid. And this thylakoid, each of them are called thylakoids, and the stack of these thylakoids are called granum. Okay, granum is a singular word, and if we have a plural word for all these granum are called grana. And this joining from one granum to another granum is stroma lamellae. So this is the basic structure of a plastid. This is a chloroplast example. So let's see what are different type of plastids. So chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast. Actually, this chloroplast also comes into the chromoplast, but we have differentiated here. Chloroplast contains chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment which helps in the photosynthesis. Everyone knows this, I guess. So it helps to absorb the sunlight in the photosynthesis. So this is a green pigment present in the plant. Obviously, plastids are present in plant. And it produces and stores glucose. Chromoplast contains carotenoids. Carotenoids are organic pigments that are colored red, yellow, orange, okay, different colors, which is present in the flower. Flower are yellow or a red or a mixture of that, depends upon this chromoplast. Okay, in the fruit also. Leucoplast contains no pigment. They are only used to store starch. They contain no pigment. They have only a function to store the starch or the food. Okay, the glucose or the carbohydrate food. So the chromoplast, we have gone through all this in details. Now we will be going to the chloroplast structure and the function. The chloroplast, see, we have done also previously, but we will be doing here also. This is a different example or the cell structure. This is a transverse section. Here, see, it has an inner and an outer membrane with an empty intermediate space in between. The outer membrane is this one. The inner membrane is this one. And in between two, the space is called intermembrane space. Okay. Chromoplast consists of numerous membrane layers embedded in a material called the stroma. I told you there are numerous membrane layers and which are lying upon this gray substance here. It is called stroma. Okay. Inside this stroma, there are stacks of thylakoid. Each of these small round thing is called thylakoids, and these stacks are called grana. These thylakoids contain chlorophyll. Okay, these thylakoids contain chlorophyll, and that is necessary for the plant to go through photosynthesis. So these are granum, all these small structures, and all together called as thylakoids. And see, this 1, 2, 3, the thylakoids, and all together called granum. And these thylakoids contains the chlorophyll, the green pigment, which is responsible for absorbing the sunlight for photosynthesis. So the space of the chlorophyll is filled by the thylakoid space. Okay, so the chlorophyll is being comprised in the thylakoid, and here it is also not mentioned in the previous picture. I hope you can see this stroma lamellae is the joining between one granum to the another one. See this yellow, this light yellowish greenish thing joining. Okay, this thing is called stroma lamellae. So here we are done with the chloroplast structure and the function. Now we are done with plastids. So we have done a lot of cell organelles. We have seen what are their functions, their structure. Now we have to know how we can classify cells. I was just telling that what is eukaryotic cell, what is prokaryotic, you will be understanding later on when you will be knowing what are the cell organelles and the basic structural function of them. Okay, see, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, the prokaryotic cell organelles are called prokaryotes and eukaryotic cell organisms are called eukaryotes. See, in these prokaryotes, they do not have a nucleus. The nucleoid they have, the structure, the DNA or the RNA, mostly the RNA, the DNA is not in the prokaryotes mostly. In certain cases there are exceptions, but mostly the RNA are just being, is just flowing into the cytoplasm and it's called as nucleoid together. It only have a cell wall. Okay, in some eukaryotes, in some prokaryotes have a capsule, and this is the flagellum. Flagellum is there, which helps into the movement, just like a tail. It helps into the movement of the cell. Okay, and it also have a cell membrane, and there are also these small dots called as ribosomes. What are these ribosomes do? I've told earlier that it helps in protein synthesis. So this is going to be the prokaryote, and now while coming to eukaryote, it have a lot of things. It is more modified and a very updated version, you can say. Okay, in your words, is updated version which helps into the, which have been gone through the evolution and have helped a lot. See, it have a nucleus, a distinct defined nucleus, which have a nuclear membrane, a nucleolus. Okay, and it also have a cytoplasmic membrane. It also have ribosome, just like the prokaryotes. But what in addition it have? It have a nucleus. It have Golgi bodies, it have chloroplast, it have mitochondrion. So these are all things. It is also have a, here it is not, oh okay, yes, there is there. It is endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, is also present in eukaryotes. It is not there in prokaryotes. So it have a more distinct, defined structure, and there is much division of labor. So it have gone through the evolution. Prokaryotes have gone through evolution, and there have been the formation of these eukaryotes. So let's classify them in a table, which will be helping us. So type of cell, prokaryotes are always unicellular because it consists of only one cell. There are no division of labor. They are a very primitive one. And eukaryotes can be unicellular, can be multicellular. In certain bacteria, there are unicellular. In certain, they are multicellular, just like us. We are eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Cell wall, prokaryotes, usually present, chemical, complex in nature, and eukaryotes, just like in plants, when present, chemically very simple in nature. Okay, because the formation have been much simple. Okay, because the problems have been avoided. Evolution goes towards better most of the times because it is for helping the environment and cooperating with the environment. Okay, nucleus, prokaryote, there is no distinct nucleus as I have shown in the image. Nucleus absent, and instead they have a nucleoid region in the cell. See, a nucleoid region. They don't have a distinct nucleus. But eukaryotes, they are present. Ribosome is also present in eukaryotes and prokaryotes, both of them. But in prokaryotes, it is smaller and a spherical in shape, smaller in size. But in eukaryotes, they are much bigger and larger in shape. And they are also linear. They are straight shape. DNA, prokaryotes, it's circular, and eukaryotes, it's linear. DNA arrangement. Cytoplasm, present in both of them, but cell organelles are absent in the prokaryotes, but present in eukaryotes. As we have seen when we were reading about Golgi body, ER, mitochondrion, we were telling that it's present in eukaryotic cells. So here you can see it is present in eukaryotic cell, the cell organelles, which are absent in this prokaryotes. Ribosomes, we have also done it previously. They are smaller in prokaryote, larger in eukaryote. Cell division. What happens? The cell division, though it is a different thing and a different study, but still we know a little about it. So binary fission is the cell division method where the cell is divided into two by the straight or in any shape or in any line. Okay, so this happens only in prokaryotes. They do not have a modified or a very distinct or updated form of cell division, but eukaryotes do have. They have mitosis. Okay, the reproductive cell goes through meiosis. So there are very different forms of cell division in eukaryote, but in prokaryote, a very simple one, there is binary fission. Example of prokaryotes: bacteria, archaebacteria. These are the example of prokaryotes. But eukaryotes, most of the things that you see today, that is plants, animal cell, most of them are eukaryotes. Now we can also classify cells on the basis of their plant cell or whether they are animal cell. We come under animal cell. Our cells come under animal cell. But a bark or a cork that the Robert Hooke have discovered and coined the term cell was a plant cell, because it was the cell of a cork or a bark, a dried bark of a tree. Okay, so see here in this image only you will be able to distinguish, though we will be going to the table. Okay, see this in the plant cell, they have a cell wall outside, they have a cell membrane in the inner side of the cell wall, they have a cytoplasm. You see the cytoplasm, they have a big nucleus which is lined with this RER and SER as endoplasmic reticulum, and there are also Golgi vesicles. They have a large central vacuole. See, the vacuole is so big, so big. The Golgi apparatus is there. Golgi apparatus, I told there are hundreds in the plant cell. These are the ribosome, the small dot that are present near to this ER. And see here, they are mitochondrion, which helps in the synthesis of ATP. Mitochondrion or mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. It gives energy. And these are the most cell membrane, vacuole membrane, and these are the most parts of the plant cell. But in comparison to an animal cell, see, they have a cell membrane. They don't have a cell wall. Okay. Next thing you can see, they do have a nucleus, just like the plant cell. They have a vacuole, which is much smaller in size than compared to a plant cell. They have a cytoplasm. They have lysosome. They have mitochondrion. Just like the plant cell, there are also Golgi complex, and they also have a ER, endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so these are the basic structure, and now we will be seeing the difference. See, plant cell, these are eukaryotic cell having a true nucleus along with specialized structure known as organelles, which perform specific functions. Animal cell, also eukaryotic cell. It have a cell wall, doesn't have a cell, it lacks a cell wall, which a plant cell have, and has a true membrane bound nucleus, which also a plant cell have, along with some other cellular organelle. Size is fixed for a plant cell, which is generally larger. But animal cell are very irregular and very small in size as compared to a plant cell. Shape, plant cell is mostly rectangular, just like a rectangle. Animal are mostly animal, round cell. Okay, animal cell is mostly round. So plant cell is surrounded by a rigid cell wall and a plasma membrane. Animal cell, flexible and a thin plasma membrane. They don't have a cell wall. First point of difference you can see here. Second is plastids. You may have noted it is only present in plant cell but not in animal cell. Nucleus. In the plant cell, it lies on the one side. See, it is lying in this side of the plant cell. But in animal cells, see the nucleus in the center. It is the center, like the heart of the cell. Okay, see, lies in the cell wall center. Mitochondria, present in a smaller number, in animal cell present in a larger number. So here it is present in a smaller number in the plant cell, and here it is present in a larger number. And here you can see the chloroplast. This is also plastid that is present in the plant cell but not in the animal cell. So plastids that we have already done. The vacuoles, one huge vacuole. We have seen in a plant cell most of the space is gone in vacuole only. But animal cells, there are many vacuoles, small, okay. And reserve food in a plant cell is always starch, but in the animal cell, it is glycogen, okay. So these are the basic differences between a plant cell, animal cell, the prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. And here we will be ending our basic cell structure division. So in this PPT or in this presentation, what you have learned is the cell, the fundamental unit of life, what is cell, who have discovered it, that is Robert Hooke, what are the three postulations of cell theory, and the most important thing, that is a structural organization of the cell, which consists of a cell membrane, cell wall, nucleus, and the cytoplasm and the cell organelle. In the cell organelle, we have studied about mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, or the Golgi body that you call the lysosomes, and the plastids, the vacuoles. And after studying all this, we have seen that what a plant cell and animal cell consist of, which is present in plant, which is not present in plant, or which is present in animal. And then we have seen that out of evolution, that prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells, what they consist of and how the modifications have been done. So these are the basic things. Okay, so ending the session here. Thank you. I'm taking your leave. I hope you have a good day.